morning, Wiser Nation. Does this music have the same effect on you as it has on me? It just feels like it shouldn't end. It's so exciting. Welcome and thank you all for being here this beautiful morning. What a delight to have you here. What a joy. Wiser has been a blessing to me this year, has been a blessing. Wiser has made me think in certain ways. In fact, the word I want to use has made me introspect in certain ways. It has made me give attention more to some of the decisions I need to make for my life that will make me that pillar that God has created me to be and I have accepted to be. So it's my prayer that it's the same for you, that you will begin to see yourself, or you will continue, because I know some of you have begun based on the messages and feedback we've been getting, that you will continue to see yourself as a pillar throughout the year. You will continue to see yourself as a pillar, as a cornerstone, as an extension of God's arm. I mean, I've not been able to get over this iPhone. What I need is the iPhone. I don't need the maker of the iPhone. I don't need to reach the maker of the iPhone. I need the maker of the iPhone because it is the maker of the iPhone who makes sure I have updates, who makes sure my apps are updated, who makes sure the functionalities of the phone are changed. It is the owner of the phone, the manufacturer of the phone, who releases the new version every year. Yes. So the owner of the phone has their work cut out. But you see, as the user of the phone, I have no... the most I can do is send, feedback, field surveys, some of those things you feedback here to say, okay, this is working, this is not working. But that is not a daily occurrence. So the world shouldn't need to find God to ask them whether Joyce is working or not. I mean, that just blew my mind on the 26th, and it continues to blow my mind. So cheers to wiser decisions. Cheers to being the pillars in the courts of our God that he has planted all of us. Cheers this morning. So this morning's scripture, there's some strong ginger in there. This morning's scripture is Proverbs chapter 29, and we are communing with the Message translation. Verse 1 of chapter 29. For people who hate discipline and only get more stubborn, there'll come a day when life tumbles in and then they break. But by then it will be too late to help them. This is not any of us. And this will not be any of our children or any of the people who are dear to us and around us. No, we will love discipline and will become more open-minded and more willing to give in to the demands of discipline. When good people run things, everyone is glad, but when the ruler is bad, everyone groans. Ha! What a joy for the organizations where you work this year 2024. What a delight, because everyone will be glad because it's you, because your leadership would be good. Your leadership will be more productive. Your leadership will be inclusive. Your leadership will be intelligent. Your leadership will be decisive. Your leadership will be fair and firm. That's for us this year going forward. Congratulations. If you love wisdom, you'll delight your parents, but you'll destroy their trust if you run with prostitutes. We've talked about this issue of prostitutes not only being those physical women who want to take you away from your chastity, or is it chastity? Chastity. There is that, but there is also prostitutes as being anything that wants to deviate you from your plans, your purpose, or God's plans and purpose for your life, plus your plans and your purposes, because they are in alignment with what God has for you. Anything that takes your resources from you to give you a good time that doesn't lead you to greatness. Anything that takes resources from you, but you have to do in secret. You are not bold enough to do in open. Anything that takes resources and time from you, well, time is resource. Anything that takes resources from you, but depletes you of strength and energy, depletes you of vitality, that is a prostitute. So if it's gambling, that's a prostitute. If it's pornography, that's a prostitute. If it's food, that's a prostitute, where you find you're spending all your money on food just because you've always had the mentality that food is a factor or is an indicator of success. So to show that you are now successful, all your monies, and I'm not talking about what I don't know, I have seen it happen. All your monies are now toward food. You want to eat all the things that you believe you've been deprived of. But because some people have complained about it, you're now doing it secretly. So when you go to work, before you get to work, you get to one place where they sell one kind of expensive food. And you buy the food, you eat it, and you say, hey, I don't arrive. Waiting I chop on my own. That's prostitution. You have visited the prostitute. It could be, yes, the dopamine binge from scrolling on social media. So whatever it is, don't destroy yourself by running with prostitutes. Don't. There are some people you're either going to unfollow on your social media or block them, or you go to those top 3 dots there on Instagram and you say, I shouldn't see this anymore. You by all means do something to protect you from the thing easily besets you and allows you fall lower than you actually should be. Verse 4 says, a leader of good judgment gives stability. Hallelujah. This is us. We're going to bring stability to the people we work with in 2024. Stability to us, stability to our families, stability to the places where we are planted to deploy, or the places we are deployed to work, to execute our gifts, our talents. We'll give stability to our clients. Clients will be at peace because they have us. Last year, I worked with an organization. I was to be the master of ceremonies. And then while we were negotiating and all of that, he said, well, we need something else. We need you to train these people within the organization for this and that and the other. And I said, well, add it to my deliverables and let the balance sheet express same. And one of the things, that was not the word used, but one of the things I could see I brought to that team was stability, because they'd been wondering how they were going to work with these people in this regard. But my coming in and sharing the perspectives, in fact, the first meeting we had, before we even had the meeting, I gave them the link to about 4 of my YouTube videos. I said, everyone must watch these videos before they come on that meeting, because this will be the foundation on which we'll build. I know that this will answer certain questions before we even start the conversation. So by the time we got to the first meeting, and it was virtual before our live meeting, I said, okay, throw questions. And some of them were like, truth is, I have no question anymore. As in, I've seen areas for this, that, and the other. And I'm like, fantastic. That's stability. You will bring stability to the people you work with. Say amen. They will look forward to having you. They will not be crippled when you are not there. No, nobody will be crippled without you, because you would have given them powers to use that even when you are not there, the wisdom and the insight you have shared with them will be enough to make them run. None of us will be so indispensable in the lives of the people we work with that they will become crippled without us. That's not a blessing. No, that one is not a blessing. We don't desire for the people we serve to be crippled without us. No. To be disabled without us. No. We will enable them and empower them to run on their own. That's the real blessing. That's the real blessing. If flattering neighbor is up to no good, share it. Excuse me. A flattering neighbor is up to no good. He's probably planning to take advantage of you. So how do you know someone is flattering? Now, there's a thin line, and I want to show that line so you don't fall into the trap. A neighbor is flattering when, you know what? Yes, let's use the dictionary depth. Where's my Google? Flattery, or should I say flatter? Flatter meaning. What's happening here? My Google is not Googling. I came to the wrong place. Flatter meaning. There you are. Lavish praise and compliments on someone, often insincerely, with the aim of furthering one's own interests. Choosing to believe something favorable about oneself, typically when this belief is unfounded. Flattery is when someone extols you without evidence. Joyce, now you be the highest chair, the chair of the chair of the chair. Where's the evidence that I'm a chair of what? But if I am the chair of, say, my estate association, I say, the chair of the higher of our estate association. Yeah, that's a greeting. That's not a flattery. But when you say, before you, nobody could walk. After you, everybody go die. No. That's not founded, because before me, there were people who did this, that, and the other. Are you with me? So flattery is praise and being extolled without evidence. That's the difference between flattery and praise. Now, some of us, this line I wanted to draw is that some of us are genuinely praised with evidence, but because we have poor self-image, we call it flattery. So someone says, Joshua, oh my God, you are so timely, so organized. I say, Joshua, I'll say, I beg you, don't whine me. And this person is speaking based on evidence. But Joshua says, no, they whine me. Which one be organized? Alas, if we take an audit of Joshua's everyday for the last 3 months, we would find that he is indeed meticulously organized. He has respect and value for time, and he shows up when necessary, when needed. But Joshua cannot see this. So when someone compliments Joshua, he says, stop flattering me. That's the thin line. And there are many high flyers on this table. So many high flyers who cannot see their own strengths. And that is why they cannot replicate the strength. That is why they cannot use that strength as a valuable resource, because they cannot see it. So even when somebody says to you, I love this and this strength about you, you say, I beg, put me down. No, they raise me up before I land. Am I a shake that you are saying I'm organized? Every other day I organize. What's the issue? Stop it. Whatever you need to do to begin to see yourself in your full strength, please do it. One of such things would be to attend Wiser Live. That is where we would start. Where is it? I was writing out yeah, let me add it right now. I hadn't thought about it until now, but that's where we will start. Let me just add it to my notes. We will start there. the ability to see yourself from the angle of your strength would give us a few tasks to do. It's a workshop, really. That Wiser Life is more of a workshop. There'll be a lot of doing. There'll be doing, you'll be writing, you'll be doing. That day is a doing day. You will make calls there, you would send emails there, you will write certain things there. It's a doing day. We'll do the tests there, not the tests, the assignments that would help some of us finally see and appreciate our strengths so that we can now replicate them. We can now position the strengths as valuable resources. And then the sky is a springboard. The sky is a springboard. If you haven't shared the video this morning, this is a good time to share. This is a good time to share with people you've been sharing with before and say, we are almost at the end. This is the critical time. Miss the ball, don't miss the leg. This is day 29. Come on, join us now. This is a very good time to share and say, you've made it from the beginning. Don't give up now. Come on, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So this next 30 seconds, please just share. Yeah. It is a verb day. It's a doing day. Lack of proper self-identity is actually very deadly. Can make one discard genuine praise from people and can make one lose a lot of opportunities, because when the opportunity presents itself for you to take charge of certain things that are your strengths, you dodge and say, well, that's not me. The inability to understand your self-identity from the place of strength, actually, my opinion, is the greatest reason why a lot of people are not successful. It is. They're not looking at self, they're looking at what others can do, what is missing. To me, that's the greatest disservice anybody. It is greater than anything the devil can do to you. In fact, the only thing the devil can do to you to stop you from moving forward in life, the only thing the devil can do is to stop you from seeing yourself. That's all. He doesn't need to do anything else. He only needs to stop you from the ability to see yourself for who you are and your strengths. I think that's 30 seconds, maybe a minute, so we can proceed. All right, verse 6. Evil people fall into their own traps. Good people run the other way, glad to escape. There'll be a lot of escaping for us in 2024 because we would see the traps. Wisdom will cause us to see the traps and we would run. We will see the prostitute, we'll smell her and smell him when they come around us. We would recognize them for what they are and we would run. Oh yes, we would run, we'll take off. The good-hearted understand what it's like to be poor. The hard-hearted haven't the faintest idea, even when they had been poor themselves. They become so disconnected. That's why they are now hard-hearted. So they cannot understand the feelings of those who are poor in spirit, poor in money, poor in thoughts, poor in intellect, poor in experience. It is good people that are able to understand what it's like to be poor, even when they have never been poor. There are people we know or we've heard of that are so philanthropic, even though they were raised rich, but they have the connection. So don't be surprised if in 2024 you find yourself being more empathetic toward people and also being more sympathetic toward people. It is possible that transformation might happen in your life just because you are now wiser. So your appetites will change. You might find that you have more appetite for helping, more appetite for philanthropy. Some things that were not appealing to you before, you begin to notice and they appeal to you. You begin to make contributions of your resources toward good gestures for people we consider poor. Why? Your heart is becoming more good-natured. You're becoming more good-hearted. by reason of wisdom. And I'm not speaking to only the 77 people who are here right now. I'm speaking to all those who are also joining in and watching the replay, the recording. And I am primarily speaking to myself. I keep saying it that every time we show up on Wiser, I am here for a personal study first before I am honored to have you all here with me. Truth be told, many times when I'm studying, this is how I study. I read and I talk to myself. And if you're not in the room with me, you hear my voice, you might think I'm speaking to somebody who is not here. I'm speaking to me. I'm speaking to me, myself, and I. I am just glad that you are here with me. So Joyce, you will find that in 2024, your heart will become more good-natured. Oh, yes, by the grace of God and because of the wisdom that has been instilled in you this year, you would understand more what it is like to be poor and reach out for the benefit of the poor. A gang of cynics can upset a whole city. A group of sages can calm everyone down. This year, you will position yourself as a sage in your field. You will position yourself as a sage in your field. This is the 2023. If you hid in 2023, that is the last time in your life you will hide yourself as being a sage. A sage is one that is proceeding from or characterized by wisdom, prudence, good judgment. You will be known in your field as that person of wisdom, prudence, good judgment. And your organization this year will experience a lifting, a calming because of you. You will become a reference point. And all those mental blocks that you had before, am I not too young? Am I not too old? Am I not starting too late? Oh, am I the only one? Every time they will say it is me, me, me. Oh, what about this, my Yoruba accent? What about this, my Hausa accent? What about this primary school I did not attend? Or the nursery, they say I'm always saying shh when I should be saying s. What? All those things will pale because you have what is superior now. You have value for the one that you know. When the cynics come, we as the sages, we will know how to calm everyone down. By the grace of God, we will calm everyone down. And if the cynics will have their voices louder than us, louder than ours, like it was in the time of Joshua and Caleb when they returned from that survey and they said, the land is great, let's take it on. And the other 10, no, hey, we are this, we are dying. And the whole city started crying. Oh, what happened? In the end, all those who were crying blue mother couldn't get into the promised land. So be assured that even if the city isn't calmed down the way we intend it to be, we will live to see the fulfillment of what we speak as sages. So stay as the sage that you have been made to be. No more hiding. No more hiding. A sage trying to work things out with a fool gets only scorn and sarcasm for his trouble. So there are some people we are going to allow wallow in their foolishness. It's not everybody we're going to be ministering to. There's some people who will see that will only scorn and be sarcastic. We'll leave them where they are and say, the peace of the Lord be with you. Murderers hate honest people. Moral folks encourage them. That's where we'll find ourselves this year, encouraging moral folks. Verse 11, a fool lets it all hang out. A sage quietly mulls over it. So there's some information you will get this year. You will only sit with it quiet and mull over it. You would not be casting pearls before swine. There are times you would retreat. In 2024, you will find yourself retreating for the sake of digesting the wisdom more than just giving it out all the time. I'm not saying you will not speak, but you will speak with discretion. When a leader listens to malicious gossip, all the workers get infected with evil. So gossip, gossip can be enticing, can be sweet. It can be sweet when people who you work with, you as leader, those people come to you and say, "Have you heard? Have you heard?" Please see what wisdom is saying. If you, as the leader, get infected with gossip, your organization will crumble because you will not be able to make sound judgment, you won't be able to make sage grade decisions anymore. You would have come down from the elevation that the Lord has taken you to. So gossip, as it's coming, they block them. That's block it. I heard of what, I think it was Bishop Oyedepo. I heard it from many, many, many years ago, where he said everybody had known him. If you come to him to tell him something about someone, he says, "Okay, that's fine." In fact, he did it a few times and people stopped it. "Sir, have you heard this person did this person?" "Oh, really? Okay, hold on. Just sit right here. Where is this person? Go and call this person for me. Let me look for a name here. Tobesti. Tobesti came in to say that Messi Frank did this and that. Tobesti is still here. Tobesti, please sit down, sit down. You want some tea, coffee? Okay, let me give you. Enjoy. Cream, sugar. Here you are. Hold on. Excuse me, secretary, please help me call Messi Frank. And then Tobesti say, okay, you want to call her? Let me just sit down. I've got Messi. Come in, sit. Messi, tea, coffee for you? Something light to eat? Sugar, cream, milk? All right. Water to drink? Something cold? We have a little lemon. Or if you want biscuits, I have some. Let me even see what's in the cupboard here. There's some crackers. There's some digestive with chocolate. That's my favorite, by the way. Okay, you want this one? All right. Or you want plantain chips, the one we call pekiri. Pecrex. Here, now enjoy yourself. Sit down. You know Tobesti, right? Oh, yeah. Tobesti was just telling me some interesting things that I needed to confirm. So, Tobesti, please repeat the last two, those last two very interesting details you mentioned. That's Messi. Yes. Yeah, the one you said before she came. No, now come on. We are mature people here. We're here to take things forward. So let it all out. To best you say that's when the you see the will start. Well, actually, you hear actually basically you see objectively all the leaves you have in your mouth will start coming out. The bestie, you go talk through that deal. Then by the time to bestie finishes, now say, okay, well, actually, basically, it wasn't like what it is that I was told. Actually, when I arrived there yesterday, in the event of my arrival, I was told that what's her name again? Mercy, my colleague here, I was told, actually, I didn't see it. I just experienced the hearing from other colleagues that she was stealing cookies from your office. I didn't see it, sir. I'm not even the one in charge of the CCTV, but you see, some other people, who are these people? Mention two names. Let's call them. Sir, actually, inadvertently, you go chop your eye. Leader, quell the gossip. Quell the what? Gossip. And if it is true, empower your people to sort themselves out without bringing each other down. So, Tobesti, going forward, should you see Messi behave in this way, this is now our SOP, standard operating procedure for when you see your colleague misbehave. Number one, follow what Paul said. Go to them and say, I saw you. Please return it, else I would report. When Paul the apostle says, when somebody offends you, go and speak to them first. If they don't agree with you, then call one witness. If they still don't agree, then go to the elders of the church. Don't run to the elders of the church when you have not spoken to that person. So Tobesti, going forward, talk with Mercy first. Give her the chance to save face. Let her know you've seen and tell her how she should go about it, and you are watching. You don't want her to be embarrassed. You understand, say, this life, no balance. You understand that the economy is economying or is not economying, but that doesn't give her the right to collect madams, chocolates, biscuits, digestive, so on. When you see she has not agreed, then you maybe call head of department or something. It is when you don't think the head of department is gelling, or maybe that person is even in on it with her, that's when you come up here so that we can solve our challenges without putting each other down. I don't want to play favorites, and I don't want to give room for those who think they have favorites or favoritism with me, and so they always bring in. Else, I will be infected first, and then the entire organization will come down. Within my organization, we've had some small scuffles this year, and I will sit them together and say, hey, you say this to this, you, and everybody, well, we are loving each other again, one big family. There's no favorite here, please. It does not exist. Everybody has their role and what they're supposed to do, and everybody has personal relationship with me. The people in my organization, we work as, what's the word? We do work. And then I also know that I have personal relations with everybody. People come to me with their personal issues. And that's what I've said to them from the day they were employed and saw their employment letter. I say, in addition to this, I cannot be doing, what do you call it? Not even coaching. What's that word we call it? To accountability partner, confidant to certain people outside this organization, and then you all will cheat yourself and not use me. You have me as your boss and you don't use me, you cheat yourself. So when you have a challenge, call me. So yes, I have those. So nobody should say, and if somebody does something, don't call me. Say, JD, see what this person did. No. Call them and ask them why they did it. Sort it with them first. If both of you cannot sort it out, then call me. Else, we'll breed what we are not ready for. If you would be more objective in the way you lead, especially in or your organization where people can begin to do these kind of things, please say I. I is whether a letter I or AIYE or any I you want to spell it. AYE, spell it. Verse 13, the poor and the abusers have at least something in common. They can both see. Their sight, God's gift. He gives unto every one of us rain. He gives unto every one of us sunshine. He gives unto all of us sight, whether physical sight or what's the other sight? Insight. The people who are physically challenged in their eyes, they have another kind of sight where their hearing is extremely sensitive. Or so with all of us, common is God has given everyone sight. See well. Leadership gains authority and respect when the voiceless poor are treated fairly. It's a mark of good leadership to ensure that when you are able to amplify the voices of the voiceless poor. Wise discipline imparts wisdom. Spoiled adolescents embarrass their parents. Discipline no dey kill o. Discipline stretches and makes uncomfortable for a season. Even the book of Hebrews alludes to that, where it says there's no discipline that is sweet. In the moment, it stretches you, it scars you, but in the end, the reward is fulfilling. So even as a parent, sometimes when you need to discipline your adolescents, it's going to make you feel uncomfortable. At that time, don't look anybody's face. Do what you need to do. Go through the pain of discipline with them and for them. And it's, yes, we don't want them to embarrass us. We also want them to live lives that are rich and wealthy because of the discipline they possess. When degenerates take charge, crime runs wild. But the righteous will eventually observe the collapse of crime and the collapse of the degenerates. Act or no, they die. In the end, the good guy always wins. let this be your solace. When you are so overwhelmed, let this be your solace, that the righteous will eventually observe the collapse of crime and the degenerates themselves. We will observe it. We will with our eyes. Verse 17 says, discipline your children, you'll be glad you did. They'll turn out delightful to live with. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid when sometimes you feel, am I overdoing this discipline thing? It can never be too much. Ask Ask anybody. Ask Joseph, who was cared for and nurtured, disciplined by his father. Ask David, who learned discipline on his own out there in the field, taking care of animals. He was so disciplined, he never allowed any animal to be hurt under his watch. He also translated into the day he had the opportunity to overcome Goliath, which led him to greater heights. See, ask Daniel and his friends. The discipline was able to preserve them when they were taken as captive into the kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar, when they were taken into Babylon and their names were changed. Their discipline preserved them. Ask Esther, whose cousin Mordecai, even though she was now in the harem of the king's palace, was reminded that it's the discipline you were raised with that will protect you and your family at this time. And she said, let's call for prayer, and I will take action because I am disciplined to act. They will turn out delightful. Whenever you are, even you, whenever you want to give up on your own discipline, remember the gains that are waiting for you in front. Remember the gains that you will receive for your discipline. Think of Usain Bolt. Think of all the star athletes. Think of the people who have run business for 100 years and are successful because they maintained financial discipline, mental discipline, family discipline, and discretion. And those who were squandered away because discipline was lost. Discipline will cost you something, and sometimes discipline will seem like it's grilling you, not just for your children, but also for yourself. It takes discipline to discipline your children. It takes discipline for you on your part to discipline others. So it will cost you. If people can't see what God is doing, they stumble all over themselves, verse 18. But when they attend to what he reveals, they are most blessed. I think every year that I have spoken at Wiser, when I get to this verse, I do some little expounding. If there's one thing I know about God, and I'm sure you will know the same, is that many times we understand his ways in retrospect. It is when something has already happened and passed, that's when we now say things like, oh, now I understand. Hey, God. So you brought me all through all of this just to get me here. Oh my God. I didn't know. If I had known. Many times we understand God and his ways when we look back, not when we are going forward. If this is making sense to you, write MS in the chat, which means makes sense or make sense. It is when you get to your journey that you look back and say, so this is why I went through this. Or sometimes you don't even know. So you infer and say, so maybe this is why I had to go through this and go through that and go through that so I can get here. God knows if I had known I would go through all of these things to get here, myself, I wouldn't have taken this job. But now that I have gone through it all and I've gotten here, so now that you and I, writing the things you're writing in the chat, have agreed that many times it is when we get to the end that we understand the journey. Therefore, now, when we are on the journey, we will begin to say, this journey seems hard. This journey seems tough. But I know that in the end, when I get to that curve, that's when I would see and understand this entire journey. So while I am on this journey now, going through this pain and going through this stretch, the smile on my face will not be about the process right now. The smile on my face will be about the possibility. Jesus, who for the joy that was set ahead, he knew the outcome. Therefore, he endured the cross. He despised the shame because he could see the outcome that those who were crucifying him couldn't see. This 2024, when you will go through some tough times and people around you would ask you if you're mad, there will be a smile on your face and your heart because you may not understand what is going on right now. But if there's one thing you know for sure, one day you will look back and you will see the pattern. So the joy that is ahead will give you fuel for today. Who was it that I got on a call with? And she was saying, how do you do it? You're always doing this, doing that, doing that. See, why is that? Aren't you overwhelmed? I said, over what? Overwhelmed? Physically, my body can get tired, but my mind, never. Because I see the end. And if I can paint to some of you the picture of Wiser 10 years to come, 20 years to come, not only of Wiser as an event, but Wiser as a movement, and the lives changed, you will wake up. In fact, you will tell me to do it every day of the year. It will be nothing for the joy that is ahead. Some people have asked me, oh, Joyce, see what you did, see what you did, for the joy that is ahead, that I can see. When I was pregnant in 2002, I was pregnant. I was in my season of pain and shame and crying 21 years ago. Now, deep down inside my heart, I was strong because the Lord had ministered to me deeply. From the moment I knew I was pregnant, the Lord started ministering to me, sending angels to me, sending people to give me words. And there were days I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? I will hold you. But there are times I would see my reality. My stomach is growing. I have to go to school. Hey, church, oh, hey, choir, oh, hey, all these guys that were toasting you before and they were looking at you as righteous Mary. Now see them go laugh you, you know, all of that kind of shit. Dele Bamboye, Pastor Mrs. Dele Bamboye came to visit me the day after we talked. So when I had agreed I was keeping this pregnancy and having this baby, I think I was about 4 months gone already. That's when I said, you know what, this baby's gonna come. I've told the long story, and next year, from May, June, I will tell that story again. That's for you. You are not alone. It's coming next year. We're ready to talk about this story. So the moment I agreed I was keeping this baby, the first set of people I told were my parents. I told them about the pregnancy. All hell broke loose. We cried, we laughed, we cried, we rolled on the floor, all of that. Then they went to report themselves quickly to a pastor, and pastor called me, spoke with me on the phone, and then his wife came. I think pastor also sent for me to his office. Yeah, so I went to see him in the office. And so Mommy Dele came to the house, and she said things that made me smile, made me laugh. She encouraged me, and there was a profound word she gave me that strengthened me more than, in fact, I remember how my body physically felt after she said that. She said, Joyce, I've been on many platforms across the world, but there are platforms I will never be invited to because I don't have your testimony. There are platforms only you and people like you will be invited to because you have the testimony. You've walked the road. There are places I may not ever get to, but those platforms will be prepared for you because someone else will be walking the road of maybe having a child out of wedlock, or they themselves being one out of wedlock. And she said, you know, Joyce, you know, there are many people who will go through this same thing as you and don't have the knowledge of God like you. Therefore, they're not as strong as you. They would need you. And the only reason they would trust you is because you also have gone this road. She said, so brace up. My body strengthened that day. 21 years later, we are benefiting from that. When you can have a glimpse of what God will do with this, your pain, the pain no longer is pain, it's now fuel. So for those of us who will face some level of pain in 2024 or are going through some pain now, don't remember that it's when you get to a certain place, you will look back and say, so is that why I have to go through all this pain? He gave me the privilege of someone like Dele Bamboye painting that pain for me in future. And she says, Joyce, imagine the first time I was invited by an Anglican diocese. I think that was 2014 or so, or 2013, 2012 sometime. The entire diocese of the Anglican Communion, Uyo and something diocese invited me to come speak to at their annual convention. And the reason I was invited, when I said, why did they invite me? They said, it's because we heard you had a child out of wedlock and you succeeded. We are battling crisis in our diocese. And these people will only listen if they have someone who has walked the road successfully. I said, Dele Bamboye said this. Brace up. I still remember what I wore that day to that program. And I slapped on myself a touch of red, because red is power, and fire, and energy, fuel. Let's go and release some girls from the shame that is about to destroy them by showing them that you've been through this. I wore some red on my body that day. I said, let's go. They had told me that this, my pain, was for someone else's gain. Brace up. Brace up. When it is when you cannot see what God is doing, it is when you cannot see what God is doing that you begin to stumble over yourself. So hold on and attend to what He's revealing. Then you are most blessed. See what God is doing. See what God is doing. See what God is doing. I'm not saying that God takes us through bad things. I'm saying life presents all manner. God can use those situations for the best. And many times He does, if we don't stumble all over ourselves. If we can say, Lord, I have no clue what you're doing with this, but I know that you will use it for good. And then it gives you peace. It gives you peace. It gives you peace. Verse 19. It takes more than talk to keep workers in line. Mere words will go in one ear and out the other ear. It takes more than talk. It takes motivation, inspiration, modeling. It takes decisive action. It takes punishments and punitive measures. It takes sometimes firing staff and workers. It takes training. It takes maybe increased or reviewed remuneration. It takes more than talk. So if you've been talking, and people are not in line, ask yourself what else is missing. And the best set of people to ask are usually the workers themselves. What else? What will I do to make you all behave? But don't ask them if you're not ready to hear them. Else you look like a fraud. So ask them when you're ready to hear them and say, so tell me what you want. Tell me. And then if you can meet what they are asking for, meet it. If you can't, negotiate and say, okay, if I can't give you all of this, supposing I give you this and that, what happens? It takes more than talk. So let's ask ourselves now what else we can begin to offer the people who work with us to help them stay in line. And these might include our children, might include our spouses, might include our friends. What else can I do to make this relationship work better. And they will say, mommy, please, what's one thing you will do? Daddy, please, that thing you will do. Don't wake me before 7 a.m. Allow me wake up by myself from 7, 8. And I promise you, I will do my chores decisively before 10. It is when you start waking me at 5, mommy, that I can't even function. I've understood, mommy, that I work best between 8 and 9. Sometimes you want to slap them like, haven't you heard about the 5 a.m. club? Wait, you first, wait. 5 a.m. which time? Do you know whether they are living on Australian time? That they are living in your house in Nigeria does not mean that their minds are in Nigerian time. So 5 a.m. in which time? They might be living 5 a.m. China time. So wait first, wait. Yes, just wait. And they say, look, so you say, okay, let's test it. If I let you do this for the next 1 week and you don't live up to it, what happens? And they would now tell you, if I don't live up to it, then I can do this or do that. But then you've negotiated, because it takes more than talk. It takes also listening. It takes listening. Oh, yes, it takes listening. One of our sons is always doing activities with people abroad. And so sometimes we're so concerned he's up at 2 a.m. because they're doing some gaming and all. And then the other day, I was about to really caution him. And I said, wait, Joyce, hold on. Some of these solutions this boy says he's creating, he's going to be providing the solutions for organizations across the world. So on whose time will he be? So now I'm taking this a little seriously. So if indeed he will be providing solutions for people across the world who will be smack in the middle of their day when it's at 2 a.m., shouldn't I let him get used to it now? So what's the big deal if he's sleeping till 11 when he's serving people across the world who he needs to serve at midnight our time? I need elevated thinking to allow that happen. And so the next day I actually had a conversation with him, and he talked about a number of things and how he can provide this and that. And I go, before now, I've been going to shout, go and sleep, go and sleep, go and sleep. Go and sleep on whose time? On whose time? Where's my scripture? Verse 20. So yeah, the point has been made. It takes more than talk. What else shall we do to keep workers, children, friends, colleagues, spouse in line? It's more than talk. Some spouses just want to hear you say your hair is fine, your nails are fine, your shoe is fine. Some want to see, in fact, let's move on to verse 20. Observe the people who always talk before they think. Even simpletons are better off than they. Not us. We are now thinkers before we are speakers. We introspect. If you let people treat you like a doormat, you'll be quite forgotten in the end. This is verse 21. Hey, if you let people treat you like a doormat, this is something I'm going to be dealing with in the Elevated MC program. This is something we're also going to deal with. In fact, when we touch a number of things at Wiser Live, it will handle this. Allowing people treat you like a doormat is a choice that many people make without understanding they've made a choice. And do you know what causes this? The inability to see yourself as valuable. That's one thing that causes it. The second thing that causes it is the skewed expression of humility, skewed understanding, misguided interpretation of what we call humility. Humility does not mean not seeing your value. Humility is owning your value and yet not lording it over people. But you will own your value to the point where when somebody treats you as a doormat, you hold on and say, excuse me. Sometimes you don't even need to shout. You just know, please hold on. I'm unable to continue with this. But someone will say, but why? I said, I am much more valuable than this. Much more valuable than this. That I would stay in a work environment where I am insulted every day. Now, some people, you might stay in that environment because you know that you will outlive this one who is always here talking nonsense. So even this boss who speaks to you anyhow, calls you names, it doesn't touch you anymore, because remember, in your pain, sometimes you can see far ahead. So this one is nothing. This one is just water on the back of a tortoise as you pour it before. So some people insulting you, and when you see yourself so much, people's insults to you. So you see, it's coming back to that ability to see yourself. Anyone with that one talk, okay, me, I know where I'm going and I know who I am. But when you agree to stay in a place that you're treated as a doormat, and you say, well, if I talk now, they'll say I'm proud. If I go away now, they'll say, that's finding that equilibrium, that balance is a good place. And after you've been treated like the doormats, it will hurt you because you're the one who will be forgotten. Because how many of us value our doormat, the doormat you have at your front door? How many of you value it? That's not, you don't value it the way you value your china, your beautiful white china with gold trimmings or silver trimmings. Those ones, you won't put them in cupboards that have glass so people can see them. You don't put your foot mats there, even though the foot mat will be glad to serve you, clean leg you pass. They pay. Angry people stir up a lot of discord. The intemperate stir up trouble. So let our anger not lead us to discord. Let our anger allow us unearth the other primary emotions that need to be unpacked. Pride lands you flat on your face. Humility prepares you for honors. Humility now is not the same thing as being allowing yourself to be treated as a doormat. No, humility, in fact, what does the dictionary say about humility? Humility is the quality of having a modest view of one's importance. You know your importance, is just that it is modest. Befriend an outlaw and become an enemy to yourself. When the victims cry out, you'll be included in their curses if you are a coward to their case in court. Don't be a coward to the cases of the victims you protect. And don't befriend an outlaw. Verse 25 answers something we just read about thinking about what people say. The fear of human opinion disables. What would they say? What would they think? It disables. It doesn't enable. It doesn't empower. Trusting in God protects you from that. So know yourself in God. Know God so that you worry less about what they say. I always say, who are they? Who are these they? If there's something I know I have developed so much over the years, is my deafness to what people say. I will take feed forward to improve me and my service, but why am I thinking about what they will say about my dada? I want dada. I know why I'm keeping my hair locked. Oh, but Joyce, they might say you are looking unserious. Who are they? Fear of human opinion. Strike that balance between understanding rules, regulations, and how things work in a society where you are, and knowing how far you can take what you want as long as it is legal and moral. Everyone tries to get help from the leader, but it is only God that gives justice. May God give us justice. May God give us justice. May God, in his infinite mercy, give us justice. Good people can't stand the sight of deliberate evil. The wicked can't stand the sight of well-chosen goodness. So it's okay when some people don't want you around, they can't stand you. Remember, we just read, what do I care about what they say? Joyce, if you come now, some people there don't like you because they feel you. Is it only you? Is it only you? It concerns them. Oh no, sorry. It concerns them. It's their ish. My job is to show up and love the world and bring joys to the world, joys to the world, joys to the world. Anybody else who doesn't like it, help your eye. The ability to have some level of understanding of yourself in God, who He has made you be, and still protecting the importance of yourself with some level of modesty and not seeing yourself as greater and bigger than anyone else, enough to raise others up. That's what we want. May that be our portion this year in the name of Jesus Christ. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in the sight of the Lord in Jesus' name. May the words that we have studied, seen, become flesh in us. May they become part and parcel of our everyday behavior, everyday deployment, everyday work, life, and living in Jesus' name. I love you all so much, and I look forward to more testimonies, not only of the ones for next year, but the ones that are happening now. So those people who have sent, thank you so much. Those who want to send, please keep sending them. They are very encouraging. I look forward to seeing many of us at Wiser Live on Saturday, the 13th of January. I look forward to seeing us there. I look forward to seeing us tomorrow, the 30th of December, the penultimate day at Wiser. And I look forward to seeing us on the last day of 31st. Thank you for being here. Bye for now.